Walker. You'll check it. You got to make sure the audio's right, and then maybe adjust the camera. You could take that over by Roxy right now and adjust the camera. You guys on Facebook, it's pretty awesome because you're getting the behind the scenes of what it takes, and and then you're going to see us once we get this all up and running. This is going to be a lot different because we're going to have fun. I'm going to tell you, when you come down to Old Louisville, and you guys were just talking about it, I think what Amin's experience is, and the whole aspect of what he's got set up and his whole history of what led him to here, very, very good whiskey, but you're going to taste some things in different ways than any other place. I mean, it's very similar because there's some stuff that Whiskey Thief and you have and similar, but then you basically can access anything you want at any time because your stock's right there, where they're just accessing barrels and they just roll them out. So two great places to come. But this place with Amin, you get Amin and he's here, and it turns into it. I mean, honestly, we've had some of our funnest times down here with you.
Sure have.
I had a group of podcasters that came to do a podcast, and they did it.
Yep. Wow. And this time, rookies, you can hear us.
Rookies,
you don't see everybody.
So are you gonna? Hey, Walker, you gonna cover them? So okay, there we go. We're live on YouTube. Thanks for coming in on YouTube. Usually on YouTube, you start off with 1 or 2, and then there's like 80. But I don't know what happens at Monday 10, 16. Yeah, the Monday, but it'll be out there. All right, so what we're gonna do, we are at Old Louisville with Amin. We got CT, we got Super Nash, we got Roxy, so the group, and behind the scenes we got Jamie and Walker. So we are kind of set, but this is a historic first for the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're live on the road on YouTube and Facebook while recording for the final YouTube, so I can use this for the experience, because we always can put them all together, and I can use bits and pieces and make a promotional video also. So all aspects are firing right now. Nice. Now I'm going to put these headphones on, and hopefully I hear something, and nothing went. Oh, I hear it all. It's working. So what we're going to do, there's going to be a brief moment of silence while we do our sponsors. I just have to throw out the Spirit of French Lick, and then also Whiskey Thief. There are other sponsors. And then we also have Alan Bishop. If you have goats, you have everything. And then Jason Giles of Rosewood Bourbon. Spectacular stuff. They sponsor us. Thank you so much. And now we're going to get going. Here we go.
Oh wow, thanks.
All right. Welcome to another podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. It's our first live podcast of season 6, and we're here at Old Louisville Whiskey Company with Amin.
Amin, yes.
Yes, Roxy, myself, Tiny, CT, Super Nash.
CT,
We're CT's in the house.
I just said yes. You got it right.
Yeah, I did.
First time?
Close.
Yeah. Welcome.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Glad I come in.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're just, usually in the background,
what
right?
people don't know is I stayed the night here. I was actually in the middle of
Prepping.
the barrels.
What
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
Well, so as everybody knows on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, we're going to be Walker will monitor the comments, and so is we got Super Nash down there monitoring, so we can take questions as we go along. But we're here, we're no stranger to here, and like you said, this is like the year anniversary of you meeting CT.
Yeah.
And then I met you at the festival directly last
So
year.
it is our anniversary too.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Okay.
see how it is. I see.
Yeah.
I thought I was.
I love you both.
I thought I was the only one.
And we're throwing a
Thought
whiskey
you were
party.
only
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And then we've been down here multiple times. CT a little bit more than us. I think sometimes, I'm even wondering, after CT leaves, what you're thinking. But
Well, the fact of that is that I hadn't been down here for a month or 6 weeks, and Amin sends me a text message asking me if I'm all right
Yeah.
because he hasn't seen me.
He misses you.
I was like, I might have lost another drinking buddy.
Yeah. You okay? Yep, I'm okay. Just busy.
so anyways, I mean, yeah, it's great to be here. I know that 10:15 in the morning, that's what we're doing. We're starting out. But, as other people have said, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right?
Absolutely.
So we're going by that time. So let's just talk about a little bit for everybody who's not familiar, how you actually got into this, because it's a very unique story, and I think you offer a unique palette because of it.
Okay. Yeah. So a lot of people ask me the same question. Well, how did you get into this industry? Well, really, I mean, if I question myself the same way, it's just living in Kentucky for 21 years, being a whiskey drinker, that got me into this. Never in my life dreamed or had the dream to be a producer or a brand owner. Just how my life led me to this. So I lived here for 21 years. Obviously, I've been introduced to bourbon since 2003. Went to college here. Then fast forward, worked as an engineer for 10 years, and I decided to do my own thing, and I bought a liquor store in Old Louisville. That's where really my journey in the industry kind of started. So I learned a lot running my store, opened a second location, and I decided to do my own brand. And then I sold both stores and opened this.
Right. And what I find unique is a lot, and this is probably a harder question, but we promote you a lot. You've been on our
I
shorts
appreciate you
and
guys.
reels, and well, we promote what we love, and you're a great guy doing some great whiskey. My favorite is when someone tries to say just by how you look that you can't make good bourbon. And I'm like, I love that, because one, my argument with him is gonna get you about 1 million views on the video. You know what I mean? At the same time, but it's just like an assumption that somehow that but if you come here and you taste what Amin's doing, he knows how to pick the barrels, and they're very unique. You have a lot of unique type stuff. And then what you want to do with it too. And I would say what you're doing in the industry, it's a little bit different than everybody else, but it's still what Kentucky loves. You know what I mean? And you're right here in Kentucky with this. And I think, it just sometimes it just blows your mind. Some of the stuff you have, some of the stuff you purchased. Talk about like what you're thinking when from when you were purchasing the barrels, when initially when you're still with your stores, and then to what you do now.
Yeah, just having the experience at the retail side, I was spoiled to try a lot of expression, a lot of whiskeys, a lot of spirit, different style of whiskey, different categories of whiskey. and that gave me really an inspiration to do something the right way. And typically, you need to be patient. You need to be uh, respectful to the traditions of the whiskey making and things like that. So I was able to take my experience as a retailer and use some of the good example or good brands that launched and successful, and some of the bad ones we learn from them and decide to do certain things and stick to them to hopefully produce some of the best whiskeys out there, and hopefully time will tell.
Well, you have a unique, experience here when people come anyway, because uh, while there are places that you can drink from the barrel, there's tours you can go on, you can drink from the barrel. Your knowledge of the barrels and what people learn when they get here is pretty unique. I don't know that there's any other situation I've been where I can drink from a regular white oak barrel, a char or whatever, three, whatever it is, and then taste the same thing directly beside it that's a French oak barrel or a Madeira or whatever it is. So, that's something, talk about the different tasks that you go through.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, our tasting and tour here, the way I approached it is I set it up to be more of an educational experience, not just tasting whiskey. So I tell people bourbon barrels or wood or oak is probably the most important component when it comes to whiskey. So typically my tours and my tasting, 6 different barrels, but we do 3 pairs. We take 3 different mash bills, same bourbon basically in each pair. We change the oak and we learn as we tasting those pairs. We learn what the French oak does and why it does it. Why the American oak is the preferred white oak in the spirit industry. We experience with other Hungarian oak, Colombian oak, and other stuff just to see what how important that oak is. And typically, when you leave here, you have more appreciation of the industry, more appreciation of the bourbon. Whether you buy our product or somebody else's product, you leave here with some knowledge that you didn't have. That's the goal of our tour here. So
But and you can see it when people come in, and I've been here when many tours have been going on and been a part of it. Uh, that people don't even realize that they like a certain type of flavor profile, but they pick it up whether they like a certain sweetness that the French oak gives. And I don't think they really knew that. And then they now know it, and they zero in on a certain
absolutely,
flavor
yeah.
profile that fits them. And again, I don't know that you really get that in other situations, because if you drink the same distillate in the same barrels, but yeah, they're different, they're going to be somewhat similar in profile, even though they are, the tree could have been this side of
Yeah,
the
yeah,
mountain, that side. But what you're doing is they're not the same at all, because
yeah.
those barrels are completely different because of the type of wood.
Yeah, even if we don't do different oak, we'll do different age statement and show how the bourbon is evolving. Even after 10, 11 years, the bourbon's still evolving inside that barrel. Even we use the same oak, it's very complex maturation process, chemical reaction happening inside that barrel. And it's very fascinating. I'm still learning myself, but it's just very fascinating what's happening inside that barrel.
Mhm.
So that's where we focus on as, tour and tasting here. So
And that's one thing too that like a lot of people, whiskey and bourbon drinkers don't know that wood plays an important part, because there's natural wood sugars in that wood, and as it goes in and out of the wood, it picks up those different
yeah,
sugars and imparts into the whiskey. And the different toast levels, the char levels,
yeah.
and all that play a big part, because you're toasting and charring those sugars in there, and then allowing it to come into the whiskey too. And that plays big parts in the sweetness
Yeah,
and the flavors that you get into the whiskey.
the wood definitely makes the whiskey, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I would the way that I look at it when I'm here, and you even have it set up very similar, is that if you took Buffalo Trace's experimental division where they're experimenting with all the different woods, you see that, but you never get to go back and see what they're doing. The only way you're going to see that is in the bottle. But when you come here with Amin, he's like the mad scientist, and even to the point of when you fill, you can he can fill a bottle almost from any point. He's got a bottling line. He's got the tub. He's got the barrels. He's got like you could fill it with a whiskey thief. You can fill it with the plastic siphon. Yeah, I mean I've seen.
That's my favorite.
And then you should
Yeah.
see him like how he hammers open a barrel. It's like every single time it's a different way. He's saying all different kinds of mallets and everything. Sometimes it's just one on the side like that. Other times he's just hammering away. So
what
Depends
dictates
on my
that?
exercise routine that
Yeah,
week.
you're just
That's not what dictates that. It's what time of the day and what you've had to influence.
So in other words,
I
the science changes as we get further and further into analyzing the whiskey.
oh, later
the
in
consumption,
the day,
the consumption.
later in the day, the
Dictate.
hammer gets harder. It's just
So I'm unique in that I've never been here,
Yes.
so I haven't come with you guys.
Oh,
Because
no.
obviously last time,
Well, let's do a very quick tour then.
yeah, when there was no podcast happening and it was just drinking, if I would have been there, there would have been a podcast.
Yes.
yes.
Because
You're
I would
right.
have made them do it.
So in a way, we're glad you didn't.
Well, I mean,
Yes.
if there's anybody going to rein CT in, it's Roxy. Because I learned on that one, there was no way. I mean, I swear to God, I was up there. I had all the equipment. All of a sudden, he's back
I'll
here.
whip you guys
I'm like,
into
what's
shape.
going on? It's like, wait, what? All of a sudden, you're back here.
But he came earlier than you, didn't he?
You did.
No, he was with us, but he got back here way. He was in here like a.
I
you know.
didn't socialize.
He knew
Yeah,
his
he
way
was
around.
going, yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
He
but
was like a
you know,
jetliner
you got to
coming in
watch
for
that
Orlando.
guy for rolling barrels that aren't capped. You know,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
bung
yeah.
and that's
I'm
that.
still paying for that.
He's banned from that side of the.
Yeah. I'm not allowed to mute anything out of the ricks anymore.
But I did notice that you have some barrels out there from the maple syrup farm.
Yeah.
Seldom
Yes,
seen.
up
So
in
are
Ohio,
you?
yeah.
You're. That's.
We've been up there, and actually, I've done a podcast with
Kevin?
Kevin. Thank you,
Yeah.
Holly. Kevin Holly. Yes.
technically then finished in a maple syrup barrel. Do you have other barrels?
I have.
You're
I have.
finishing
That's
other?
the syrup that I have at the house for you guys.
Yeah,
is
he did it in his
Kevin's.
own.
Ooh.
It's just
So yeah,
crazy.
we're doing some finishes, but our brand is really not focused on finishes.
Yeah.
So those finishes are definitely like an extension to our core product.
Mhm.
So we have very few finishes. We're doing, 4 or 5 of them, but they're very small amount. We're talking about 4 to 8 barrels and
Yeah.
max.
No, you say that, but you like to do a lot of double oaking, though, right?
We do
isn't
some
so much
double oaking, but it's not. Also,
like
it's not.
massive.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not massive amount. We
And I-
did like 8 or 10 barrels of double oak bourbon last year. They were very successful. A lot of people love double oak, so we've done more this
Yeah.
year.
I mean,
And yeah, I mean we have some anything pretty much that it's popular, people enjoy it. We're gonna try to make it and hopefully make it at a very high quality. So all of our finishes, they're not finished in 2 or 3 months. Like the maple cask has been there since January or February of 2022, so it's going on 2-year finish. So it's nothing short of time. Like as long as the whiskey is evolving, we'll leave it alone.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely, like you said, with the little, you got the you get to taste it. Like when we were here the one time, you had it in the barrel, and then you had it double oaked, but it was the exact same, thing, and you got to taste the difference of that, adding that French oak to it. Now the one thing with that you're always you would in you're evolving, like you said, but with the different barrels and the different type oaks and those different flavors, the different, like he was talking about the chars, of that,
Yeah.
that, caramelized, but those the toasted oaks where you still are, you're not caramelizing the sugar, but you're getting it right there, and it's just like those wood sugars just get brought out with the
Yeah.
toasted oaks, and then the sugar from the wood. I mean, you can tell this collection here is that's what you're always tasting, those differences in when it's ready to go. And when we come here, it's a surprise on how you could be here and he could taste the barrel with you and he's like, oh, that's ready to go, and he's going to be bottling, right? I mean, it's just when you get through it and whatever, that's how you bottle it.
Yeah.
So it's variety more so than just consistency all the time, because you have so much different stuff going on. And I think that's maybe when you own the store, variety wasn't as accepted. It was there, but a lot of people were just want bourbon. But variety right now is where it's at.
Oh yeah.
Do you agree with
Yeah.
that?
I absolutely agree with you. So running a retail store, I've seen the craft beer boom going and the whiskey taken off. And the new generation or the new drinkers in the market, they're not going for consistency. They're not loyal to anything. They want to try, something different every time they step into a retail store. And the philosophy behind my brand kind of like capture that. We don't have consistent product. We have 8 different mash bills. I have 4 different mash bills of bourbon, 2 mash bills of rye, 2 mash bills of whiskey, and then we do several or few finishes with whiskey. So all of our whiskeys, that's what we do finishes with. So every time you're gonna pick up a release or a single barrel from us, or even a batch, it's gonna be something different. Either the mash bill, the age, or both. That's gonna be different. So we try to stay creative. We try to stay innovative with different product, different finishes, different expression that we offer. Because that's kind of like the way I see it. That's the advantage we have as a craft distillers or craft, producers. Is we're doing it at a very small scale, so we can have those variation. When you go to the big distilleries, they may be doing that as experimental stuff, but it's very difficult for them to do these many releases because they have a larger team, larger production. It just takes a lot more effort and it costs a lot more for the big guys than it costs me because I'm rolling these barrels by myself. I'm transferring it by myself. I'm not, paying somebody to do it. So I have the ability to do whatever I want anytime I want it, basically.
There you go.
Let me ask you one thing. You were talking
Yes.
about batches. Do you have like a typical batch barrel number that you?
Yeah, so we do number our batches. So we've been in business for 2 years. We released 4 batches of bourbon,
Okay.
and then 1 batch of wheated bourbon.
Okay.
So
Like how many barrels go into a batch?
the largest batch we've done was 19 barrels,
19.
but
Okay.
most of the batches are about 6 to 7 barrels. So our batches are very very small. We try to produce to order. So
Mhm.
as we grow and as we get more orders from different markets, we're gonna produce a batch about the size of those orders. So if I don't have an orders, we leave the bourbon making, changes happening inside that barrel.
No.
So we don't produce wait for orders.
Do you also though every once in a while it's so good you got to get it into the holding tank? I mean, you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
does that happen
That's
every
probably
once in a while?
This bottle is.
I mean,
Yeah, I mean sometimes. So like the older the barrels, we need to monitor them closely. So like for bourbon, because we use brand new barrels, typically
Oh,
starting at 11 to 12, we need to really pay attention to those barrels
You don't wanna
because they
over-
can turn very quick.
You don't
Like
wanna-
after that 11 to 12 years, you can start, you're more vulnerable to ruining the whiskey than
you don't want to
and
do a 25-year-old Crown Apple
no.
because that was obvious what they did to that. That was too long, and they just added apple to it, and that's what you would do, right?
In Kentucky, it would not be apple; it would just be maple syrup.
Yeah.
It'd be the 25-year-old maple
Maple,
barrel.
yeah.
So talk about what's behind us. I mean, that's exciting. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, that's an evolution that even last year that you didn't have.
Yeah.
It was
And
in
now
business,
I've watched that. I've seen it half set up. I've seen it in the boxes. Now I get to see it. It's all set up.
So we have a small still. This is a hybrid still, pot still connected to a reflux. This is a 100-gallon still, so it's very very small production. This is probably smaller than any lab experimental stills big guys have. But this is something that's gonna allow us to experiment with different mash bills, even different things like not necessarily bourbon or whiskey or grain whiskey. We're gonna experience or experiment with other stuff. But yeah, it's a new toy. I'm excited to fire it. It hasn't been fired yet.
So are you scared?
No.
I'm just wondering. I mean, so you just can't wait to fire it up.
Yes, it's just been a crazy summer, and now we're hopefully, you know,
Yeah.
we slow down a little bit after the festival and before we get to the holiday season, and I'm planning to fire it and start playing with it. So
Well, there's so much. Plus, you know, so many people in the industry. I mean, you could even just you could do a couple times where you invite somebody to do it with you.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, it's just like that's what's great about this industry because people love to do certain things. I think you'd have a lot of. There's a lot of people out there that would be willing to give you advice, especially with
Absolutely.
pot
I'll
stills.
help. I
Like
won't
the
give
Scotchy
advice, I'll
Bourbon
help.
Boys. Is that
I
what
was
you're
gonna say, were you dropping
insinuating?
like a big huge hit? There's people in the industry that would really like to be here. Like,
Yeah,
fire
so
it
I
up.
think that's what he's working up to.
Typically,
Is that
my
like
style is
subliminal
I
influence.
bang my head against the wall first. I want to figure it out by myself.
Yeah, I can see
And
that.
then if I hit
So
a
your
dead
wife-
end, then I'll make phone calls.
So your wife just wants to make sure you're not blowing yourself up. That's
Yeah,
about
we're
it.
gonna start with water.
Okay.
We gotta start with rainwater and run the crap out of it. Make sure everything is sealed, properly working. All
100
the
gallons?
gauges, 100 gallon.
You could start your distilled water.
Yeah,
Yeah, right there.
business.
Yeah.
So, the three ways for somebody who doesn't know the brand wants to get it. I feel like there's three main ways they can do it. You can find it on the shelf at select stores. It's not going to be everywhere.
In
It's
Kentucky,
definitely
right?
It's an exclusive thing on the shelf. Even to the point that in some stores it'll be in a glass case. It's not going to be just left out with the Wild Turkey 101. But that's one way. And again, you said you've had 5 releases now so far, 5 batches.
Yeah, so we have 5 batches: 4 regular bourbon and 1 wheated bourbon.
The other way would be, which has become really big, it seems like for you in the last year, even in the last 6 months, seems like it's ramped up, is single barrels.
Yeah, we have a
So-
lot of single barrels being released. It's partnered with an online retailer, so we have all of our SKUs. Every expression we have, it's available right now to be ordered online, so you can have it shipped to your door. So,
Which
Which one?
online?
oldlouisvillewhiskey.com. So if
You
you
can
go
just
to
do
our
it.
shop,
Oh,
okay.
so it's
Yeah.
through.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're not on someone else's.
yeah, they
platform.
have the product, they fulfill it, but you can just go to our website, order it from them. You don't notice where the transaction is
Right.
happening.
You're
Yeah.
not selling through another website.
Yeah,
You're selling
yeah.
through your own.
And I
Yeah.
guess there's
So
a
just
fourth then too, because then if that doesn't work, then they can always come in, do the tour. And
Absolutely.
if they drink one of these barrels that they just find is amazing, which I've done many a times, you can bottle your own right here.
Yeah. If you're in town doing some of these tours experiences, you end up here. Typically, if you choose to buy anything, you can sieve it straight from the barrel. So everything you try, it's available to purchase, and everything obviously we bottle is nothing younger than 7 years. So we've never released a drop less than 7 years old.
And I would say this for anybody that's coming to do a tour. If you are coming to Louisville and you're planning on hitting 3 or 4 places that day, I strongly suggest come here first. When you have a fresh palate, you will enjoy the spirit so much more. And what Amin has is going to be considerably different than the stuff that you drink at most of the other tours. And nothing to the big guys, but when you go on most of those tours, you drink their staple everyday small batches and things. That's not what you're drinking here. So you want to come here first, have a fresh palate to enjoy what you're going to be experiencing. And then if you go on to those places, it's not going to change anything. They're going to taste the same. So,
Great point. Great point.
Mhm. All right. Do we got any comments on YouTube or Facebook? Anybody asking questions? Nope.
No question.
We got a decent amount of people though.
yeah, there's
Or
been
is it
people
this-
coming and going. And
Yeah. A lot of people watching.
Ooh,
and,
that's decent. Especially although
10 to
so
15 in the
just
morning.
in
you say X?
what
a lot
Did you
of
just say
compliments on
especially?
here.
especially
I just picked that up. Especially. There's no X in that
I
word.
didn't say that. What the hell?
You said especially.
Well, it's going to be on the podcast, so we'll re-listen to it when we
he'll
go
edit
back.
it. He'll cut it out.
No.
You watch it. You watch and see. There'll be
Especially.
a-
Anyways,
and then
You may want to do the editing of this episode.
I got a question.
Yes.
So we're sitting here talking about all this great stuff. Are we going to get to taste any?
Absolutely, absolutely. Whenever you guys ready, I'm almost done with my coffee, so I can join you anytime.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if you were gonna pour up anything.
Let's do it.
Let's
What
pour.
do we have?
Should we thief straight from the barrel, or should we thief something or drink something out of the bottle? Let's do the thief. We're here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's do it.
and we're
Alright.
yeah.
I got my thief.
I got a thief.
All right.
Where is it? It's over there.
Over on the
We'll get it.
ground over there.
Yeah, we're all leaving this part of the. So everybody on this part of the podcast, we're gonna talk loud.
Yeah.
Facebook and YouTube.
Oh yeah, we got these
For these mics, yeah, we could carry these mics, but don't turn it off because that's something you can do.
So we get.
But we're talking about these mics right here. Oh, he's leaving close enough. Ooh, nice.
Got another glass. You can take this one.
There we go. I got it.
So everybody who's not used
Can you
to,
grab my glass?
yes, I can.
Thank you, sir. I'll be right back.
All right.
We're gonna talk about this barrel.
So anybody who doesn't, if you're just listening or watching for the first time, thieving is exactly what we just did. He used the whiskey thief, which is the copper tool. And when you use a whiskey thief, you pull the whiskey out, you pour it in your glass, and this is how they can test the barrels to see when the whiskey's ready. But once again, this is one of the cool experiences you get when you come to Old Louisville to be able to do this, and that's what we're doing. 10:45 in the morning.
Welcome to Kentucky.
Cheers. Cheers. Now, this wasn't your first podcast with us. You were zoomed in.
I
Me,
did. I
you,
did the
and
live
CT.
with you
Yeah,
guys,
yes. That zoomed right us in.
I would
Yeah.
say wintertime.
Yeah.
It was cold.
That was right after the festival last year. Probably
Okay.
about
Yeah.
Yeah, you were here. Your background, you had it all set up pretty. It's similar to what you see in the background there with all the barrels. So that was my. That's the first time that's besides meeting you briefly, but that's the first time I ever got to talk to you in depth.
So what do we have in here is a wheated bourbon, 7 year of age, 51% corn, 45 wheat, 4 barley. This is 121 proof.
It's buttered toast.
So it's getting there.
What kind of
got some
jam?
spice going on?
There's bacon
Yeah.
spices.
Yeah.
that went straight into my chest? I'm like warm.
Well, it was a nice hug, but it wasn't. It didn't burn.
Little
Yeah,
bit of brown
there's
Just a
sugar.
no-
nice hug.
That was
The-
body
put that on
shock.
the-
I think I got off of this
Yeah.
one.
That's
Not just palate
finish
shock.
that
Lightweight.
brown
Brown
sugar.
sugar on the
Oh,
end.
lightweight.
It's out there, yeah. No, for 121, I mean it's
a high
drinking well, but it's gonna get better.
Well, yeah, and again, we talk about this just like I said about coming here as the first place you go to taste good stuff. Also, remember everybody, that first pour is always going to be hot. I don't care how long you've been drinking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
first pour bites you. It's
Yeah.
the way it is. It's take that little drink, wake your palate up, and
Mhm.
Yeah.
then the
Give it a little
next one or
time.
two
Yep.
really start
Well-
picking up the flavor.
Yeah.
Well, on our barrel pick when we were with Greg over at Lawrenceburg, he was tasting it, and at first, the first one, he was like, "Well, that's unique and whatever," and then he had a couple more sips, and he's like, "That is amazing," you know. So that's how whiskey is. Sometimes, most of the time, you gotta get used to it. You can't judge a whiskey on the first taste. And that's the
Yeah.
problem with so many young people with their young palates. They just try and bypass the taste by just drinking it all
Yeah.
at once
Yeah,
instead
you
of
gotta acclimate
getting
your
ready,
palate.
right?
Whiskey is similar to wine drinking, in my opinion. Like people that drink wine smell it, they
Yeah.
sip it, they get the flavor in their mouth, and
Mhm.
and then this is a very similar way of doing it.
Yeah, typically, whiskey drinkers, wine drinkers, we sniff a lot. The reason why you want to sniff because
Kevin's
everything you're smelling, if your brain recognizes that aroma or the flavor, you'll be able to enjoy it and pick it up on your palate. If you don't smell it, if your brain doesn't register that flavor profile, you will never be able to taste it. That's how your brain and palate work together. But typically, most of these flavors that we experience and taste in whiskey, we are familiar with them as humans. We eat them in fruit, vegetables, dessert, food, spices, all these things that we experience and taste, we know them. We're just not, trained to recognize them that quick.
Right?
Yeah, and that's we've got the nosing kit.
Yeah.
We've
Yeah,
done that.
we
One
talked
of the
about that.
things that when we were going to the whiskey festival, me and CT, we couldn't get cherry. We were smelling cherry. We kept doing it and whatever. And now every single time I taste cherry, because of that time, I recognize it. So it's like, and sometimes when you're doing those kits, you go over it, but there's certain time there's just once it's in your brain, you can taste those flavors, right?
Yeah. Cherry and red fruits are typically they're very hard to find in a 7 or 8 year bourbon or younger. So typically they pop after that 10-year mark.
Okay.
So they are very complex notes or flavor profile that they need more time in the barrel to develop. Typically we'll try some 11.5 year, and you can't miss the cherry on this.
Well, and this is a 7-year weeded,
Very
right?
cool.
7-year weeded.
7-year weeded.
So I think with weededs, when the further you go, in this case, you still can taste the wheat aspect of the grain on a 7-year-old. But the further you go away, that barrel influence, that's the one thing it tries to do, is take out the wheated and maybe put more of a toasted and the little bit of, you know what I mean, as you go. But like you said, the high rye bourbons, or the bourbon, the bourbons, the rye bourbons, those tend, the older they get, to pick up different flavors. And a lot of time that rye spice that's in there will mellow out, where you don't have to mellow out the wheat spice,
Yeah. When it comes to grains, rye is a grain of flavor. So that's why traditionally most bourbon will have rye. Very, very few will have wheat instead. So wheated bourbons became very popular with literally a handful of brands. There's traditional bourbons always have rye in them. And rye is the grain of flavor. It's very complex. It's kind of like eating your rye bread versus white bread.
Right.
Rye bread is boldy, has a lot of flavor. White bread is made out of wheat, so it's simpler, easier. It's holding that cheese and meat together.
Well, and remember, rye is grown. It's a hardier version of wheat, and it's not used all the time. You can grow it more for whiskey because of the consumption of it. Wheat, and that's why you some of the wheat, the wheat that's out there is because it's for consumption. They grow it to make bread and whatever, and you can make a lot of money off that. When you do it to whiskey, it's not so much. There's not that much a profit, but that you also said such little, there's so few wheated bourbons, that explains, and people love them, but that also explains the shortage. You know what I mean? Because not everybody has their rye bourbons, but when let's just say the Buffalo Trace stuff that goes crazy, well, there's not a lot of other ones on the market. So everybody who loves wheated bourbon, they're going directly to that brand. And that that was an epiphany right there. I just realized what you said. That's why it's driven. They just keep making more and more, and people want more and more because there's not all those other wheated bourbons to choose from. There are some, but nowhere near as many as the standard.
So typically,
bourbon
wheated bourbons need more time in the barrel because you don't have the complexity in the body of a rye.
Right.
The corn we use is corn. Typically, even corn bread, when you make it home, right? You need to put so much butter on it. It's not very flavorful grain to begin with. So really, we count on the rye to come with the flavors. So if you take the rye out, put wheat, you simplify that whiskey to a point where you need more time in the barrel to develop some complexity. Because as whiskey drinkers, we're looking for those layers of flavors, right?
Yeah.
We're not doing this. We want to take a sip and have those layer of flavors. And typically, wheat doesn't give that until a longer time in the barrel.
Because it's so light that it's picking up those caramelized sugars. So like when you're talking about Pappy Van Winkle's at 15, it's like drinking liquid caramel. And that's why people love it so much. It's almost like they're drinking the dessert, because of the fact that where even the rye, when it's picking up those caramels, it's mixing and it's got the flavor. So you don't always, you get those flavors, but not as you do with the wheat, because it's that barrel starts to override it, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can do a PhD on this.
Yes, you can.
There's a lot of details. There's a lot of variables, from mash bill to yeast to water to the oak, and then from the oak is how you toasted it. Did you toasted it before you char it? What level of charring and all these small variances is gonna change the same bourbon.
So how
if
many
you
years has this been in the barrel?
7 year.
7
So we
years.
just pulled everything we have here behind us here is 7 year minimum up to 18 years.
Mhm.
Everything is younger. We keep it in different warehouses. Wherever we source it from, we leave it there until it's almost 7. So those barrels, we don't palletize our barrels. We rig system them. The ones in the pallet we just received, they just turned 7. Those are all weeded bourbon.
Mhm.
They're 7 year. Now we can look at them, taste them, blend them, and see if they're ready to be batch or not. We did release a 7.5 year weeded to the Kentucky market. And it just takes that long, at least, if not longer. I think
Yeah.
they will get even better as
Yeah, this one will
they
get
age. I have somebody at
better
the
if it's
door,
just
so I'm
a
gonna
little
let you
longer,
guys
that's
talk
for
a
sure.
little bit, and I'll see who's here. I'm not
Okay.
expecting anybody, but
Well, I mean, what's so cool about what Amin just did, and I think, and I'm glad we just got to that point. But now you just saw the mad scientist in his brain going,
Mhm.
how he deals with stuff, how
Maybe blended,
he's
maybe let
analyzing
it
at a
leave it little
level,
longer.
and
Yeah.
it's personal. You're getting a personalized thing of a guy who understands retail, how things sold, understood his customers, was doing barrel picks. Then it led to getting some good barrels. I don't think he had another warehouse when we did that first podcast back then.
I don't
It's
think
so good to know, like, he dropped, there's another warehouse where he's aging stuff, then he brings it here for whatever. Now that's cool, because that brand just means his brand is extending out. He can
Yeah.
afford to put more on the shelf here in Kentucky or for the people.
Yeah, but that's what's unique about craft distilleries. So on the smaller scale,
Yeah.
they have the time.
But there's
the,
Well,
There's more
technically,
desire to put
they're
out
able to-
great products.
right. To
Well, this was a
really
craft
focus in on
blender, so you
Yeah,
don't even
and
know
he's-
where he's buying his barrels. He was buying from it's all blended, and now he sells a lot of it's single barreled and whatever, but he's capable of doing anything that he wants to. So
Yeah.
it's really kind of cool.
and such a personal touch to it, because he's very involved in it himself, because he does most everything here himself. Everything from rolling the barrels to
Answering the door.
Well,
answering
the other
door,
thing
yeah.
that's kind of unique.
I'm a doorman too.
Unique about the experience when you come, and I've done this myself, is I've drank from a weeded barrel in the winter and came in, drank it. It was good, but we even discussed, and if this has a few more months, it's
Yeah.
going to be really good. And then I came back 3-4 months later, and it was early spring, and it was great. And okay, I want a bottle of it now. So that's the other thing, is that you can almost come in, try something, and then even watch it evolve a little bit, come back in a month or two, and it does change. I mean, it definitely, the thing about yours, there's nothing that's bad. It's all great.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
It's all
appreciate it.
great.
delicious.
There's nothing here that you're going to drink and be like, wow, that didn't hit the note. Oh, that's young.
Well,
Oh,
just so
that's
you
this.
know,
It's
I mean, he's tasting it, so he ain't gonna roll it out.
No.
He's gonna let it sit a little longer. If it's not, so that's the kind of cool thing. Yeah, he's not the stuff that what he's rolled out, he knows is good.
Yeah, so typically, when we do like a second maturation barrel, is after 6 months, typically not less than that. I'll just roll that barrel and put it in a rotation of tasting. So I get to taste it, weekly, sometimes daily. So I get to monitor it from 6 months on and see how it's evolving and slowly realizing what that flavor, how it's changing, and is it gonna, you know, develop a lot more, or is it's good to go? And that's when we include it in a rotation of tasting, or we don't. So we make sure that it's pleasing, good whiskey to drink to begin with, and then before we even decide to bottle the whole barrel or batch it with something else, we want to make sure that we give it the time to mature properly and extract everything we needed from that barrel.
so before we get done, talk about the bottle that we just bottled, because that has a special thing coming up this Friday.
Yeah,
that people will
yeah,
be
yeah.
able
So again, whoever joined us right now didn't get to listen to the intro, but this weekend is the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, so we have A very special expression here, a single barrel, 10 years old. That's going to be released this weekend at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival in Barstown. So this is a high rye bourbon, 60 corn, 36 rye, 4 barley, 10 years as of yesterday. So we gonna bottle it today. This is the first bottle came out. And then we're gonna have another special release. This is a a whiskey that's gonna be released this weekend as well. It's a 17 year and 10 months, distilled November of 2006, so a while back. But this is 151 proof KBF release. It's one barrel. It's
What
not
proof?
a batch. 151 breakfast whiskey.
Yeah.
Are you gonna pour that for us?
Yes, we're gonna try it. So these two will be available in Kentucky Festival. This is one barrel. It's not a batch. It's 106 bottles. I was very happy to see 106 bottles out of this 17 year. And then the 10 year looks based on the scale bottom of that tank. We should get about 150 bottles. So there's a lot more available of this than this. But these two will be available this weekend at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival.
Well, and if it doesn't sell out there, it's going to be available here for
Absolutely.
everybody because I just it amazes me because everybody's doing the barrel picks and you guys you have your distilling license now, obviously, so you could just sell right out of your booth.
Mhm.
But it amazes me that some people are just doing like one barrel, especially like why wouldn't if I was like Heaven Hill, I'd like have 12 barrels picked, then I'd have them all there. But then whatever doesn't sell, you sell it out of your gift shop, and it's basically the special Kentucky Bourbon Festival. And anybody who comes down from anywhere, Ohio or Tennessee, oh, I thought you were telling me to shut up, but
No.
but they could come down and they're out of the gift shop. It's just awesome, right? It's just like come visit. You'll be able to, now that's only if you don't sell out, which is a really good chance you're gonna. Especially, I don't know how many people. There's going to be very few 17-year-olds. And now is that the barrel that last time we were here that was sitting right over there where you had the two?
It was right there. It was sitting there for 6 months or more.
Yeah, we had
finally rolled it to bottle it this week. Actually, I bottled this Friday.
We were jumping up and down on that one. That's for sure. That was pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Now the one
Are we ready for this?
Uh-huh.
Now the one
I
I
am.
have, isn't it 154 proof?
Impossible.
Yeah.
We had another barrel. Yeah.
Yep. This is not the one I dumped. Hopefully. Right?
More bottles if you didn't.
Yeah, if you didn't dump half of it on the floor.
Oh my God.
If this would have been the barrel I dumped, I probably could do it on my face.
No, I think
I'd rather
the
hide.
one spilled a little bit. I'm not worried about
They
it.
probably put me undercover to go work at other distilleries and dump their stuff.
Well, you still owe me for life. Just gonna hold that over your head for the rest of your life.
Hold it over your. Are you?
That's
When are
what
you?
CT wakes up every night. He's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Oh, the barrel,
Oh, the barrel.
barrel."
What can I do to fix this today?
Wow, that nose-
Sometimes he
that
messages
nose
me
is
like
amazing.
late at night. I'm like, I think he's drunk.
We saw that last night.
You know,
No, that was not.
I feel. If he's doing that, if anytime I call past 10 o'clock, he won't answer. So if
No.
he's messaging you, that just tells me that he's going to have to
Well,
start.
we do
answering
have a
at 10
special
o'clock at
relationship,
night.
though.
So yeah, the messages I send him usually involve me introducing somebody to a bottle of his, and they're like,
Wow.
"Where has this been, and why don't I have it?" And I'm like,
That
"You
is
need to get it." So I'll
Special.
immediately
So
text
much.
Amin and be like, "This stuff is horrible.
caramel and brown sugar and-
You need to get something figured out because nobody likes it."
151 proof.
It doesn't drink like that.
Yeah.
doesn't-
No, it drinks more
does
like
not
115,
smell like that
120.
You do realize
But it probably would be
I've
very
never
good
had.
over ice. Just to
I've
proof
never
it down.
had.
Just
I
a
think the
smidge.
highest I've ever had was 147. So I'm drinking 151 proof for the first
So you're a
time.
virgin at 151.
Yeah.
If you want to call it that.
It only took him 60 years to get there.
Yeah.
His first time.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he had Bacardi 151 at some point.
No.
Really?
I was a rum drinker, and that was like no.
Okay.
I might have had it,
They discontinued that.
but I might have had it in
expression,
151
actually.
in a
See it.
mixer,
Yeah.
which then it's not 151. I
Yeah.
mean, but suppose I was afraid to die when I was drinking that.
You
Yeah,
really
what's-
want to.
What's great about this is this doesn't have just a complete. It's not an oak bomb.
No.
It has a
No.
lot of fruit on the
And
front
it's and
end.
at KBF it's available for $2,500 a bottle.
No, it's not that brand.
No, it's a butterscotch bomb. I don't know if you noticed that.
Oh,
Butterscotch
yeah.
and vanilla. But this is a high core mash bill, Asian used barrel, so it can't be bourbon. It was also put into the barrel a little bit higher than 125. So that's why it's not bourbon, it's whiskey, straight American whiskey. But yeah, I mean the flavors, the viscosity in this whiskey is amazing.
I just
Yes.
I just drank it, and that smoke was like the steam was coming out of my mouth. I was just like, oh my god.
Really?
Yeah,
They're gonna see it on the camera.
Yeah,
We
you
can't
can,
see it
yeah.
live.
It's not
That's,
that hot.
that's what happens when it's your first time.
Put that fire, whatever filter.
Yeah.
One question.
All right.
One question. So, if in your wheat and mash bill, which kind of wheat do you prefer? If you prefer any kind?
Honestly, I have a more technical answer to that. A lot of the grains, really, after distillation, mashing, fermentation, distillation,
It's really good.
it's very hard to notice the difference between the wheat. So no, to answer his question or her question, I don't have a preferred wheat.
Yeah, they're just very similar.
I mean, they maybe if you're making bread, but if you're making whiskey, just there's so much going on and so many steps into the whiskey making that the grain really is very like
Not the
Mine-
same as like the
yeah.
corn, because like a blue corn, obviously,
Yeah.
way different from a normal.
and
corn.
then your bourbon flavors are coming from the barrel. 70% of bourbon flavor comes from the barrel, so there's a big impact. So the small differences in different wheats, they're gonna be covered by these caramel vanillins from the oak. So,
All right. Well, we're getting close to the end.
all right.
So we've got a gift for you. One,
gifts.
Thank
you
you.
get a Scotchy Bourbon Boys
I love
T-shirt.
it.
I went
Love
with
it.
so
Is
we.
large good?
Yes.
That's what we
That's
thought.
good, that's what I thought.
We were doing. Yeah,
That's what I thought.
Here you go.
we
Listen,
all
And
thought.
All right.
There you go.
Keep it on.
But this is
Here's
something.
our
This is
infamous-
Roxy and mine, but mostly her. I mean I helped do it. We actually but this is these are pecans.
Let her talk.
Pecans,
Obviously, you didn't make them.
Yeah.
pecans soaked
So this
in
is my
Here we go.
special proprietary
Nice.
Scotchy Bourbon Bowl recipe.
Love it.
So they're not like the bourbon balls you buy retail. So there's
Okay.
real bourbon in there. We
Okay.
soak the pecans for many months.
10.
Oh, nice.
Do you have to give up all the
All
trade
the
secrets?
It's not a trade secret.
You
That's why
got
she-
clicked for that.
No, it's
No,
not.
I'm not
we soak
sharing
the
it with
pecans
anybody
for-
today.
You've got to put
there's
an
a-
8
Maybe
stamp.
my wife
just-
later.
Wow.
But just like
There you go.
bourbon, we've experimented
back.
with many different types of pecans, sources for pecans, flavors inside. We really have a lot of fun, or I've had a lot of fun, sort of perfecting it down to the ounce of ingredients. So
Well, thank you
Roxy,
so much.
they are fantastic.
Chocolate
They
too.
are.
The chocolate's
So,
experimented.
I would
Never
say
had a chance
every
to try.
time they're coming to town, make sure you come down
oh
here
yeah,
because they came here multiple times. I've
And they
never
didn't
got a
ever bring
gift.
them? Yeah.
Never got a gift.
Wow. there you
And
go.
then a
If I
female
come, you're
comes
getting
and
a
visit
gift.
me, I'll get a chocolate, I'll get a T-shirt.
T-shirt. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Who knows what else she has for me?
I know.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thanks, Roxy.
Yeah. Thanks for making us look good.
You're welcome.
I tried to bring you coffee.
That's not as good as bourbon balls.
Yeah, those are. Yeah.
Don't dig a hole.
Yeah. You won't be able to dig yourself out of
Keep
it.
your head up while you still can.
All right. I'm gonna try and end this. real
Are we
quick.
gonna try something that has cherry?
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
now you-
Sure. We won't.
Yeah,
We're not gonna end this.
we're not.
Oh my god.
You know the famous saying, right? Just one more.
Just one more. All right.
Oh,
He's gonna thief it.
I got that. You can take that.
I gotta clean.
There's
So,
two-
guys, this is the same recipe as the KBF pick, but this is 11 and a half years. Now you have
Thank you.
year and a half extra aging.
You got to grab one for him.
Let me get
Oh,
a
he
little
has
bit
one
more.
right in his hand.
That's all I get, right?
Oh, you can definitely taste them. But it's more like plum rather than cherry. Plum.
That one, there was one you had before that it was straight up cherry
It's
cola.
like
Holy
it's like
crap.
it's a dark
I
plum
get-
to me, and not as much cherry as it's like a dark.
That's like almost like a
But also,
Yeah, it's like
grape.
a raisin or a,
Yeah.
It's grapey.
So yeah, this is what 36% rye after 11 and a half years. You're gonna get all these red
lots of-
fruit, beautiful, delicate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean these notes typically
You just
are
might wanna just
impossible
smell
to
this.
find in younger.
Very
younger
light
ones.
spice on it too.
Yeah.
It's more fruity.
So a lot of people associate rye with spice. Rye, if you give it time in the barrel, it develop all these beautiful stone
you can
fruit,
tell.
red fruit,
Yeah.
you name
You
it.
can taste
And
the
it
rye,
just
but
in
not-
every stage of the
But the
aging,
sweet.
it's
very-
evolving, it's changing.
It's not 2-year 95.5.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely lots of complex.
That nose on it's wonderful.
What's the proof on that?
Oh,
Well,
108.
108?
108.
Yeah,
Drinks
Yeah.
like water? Yeah, after 151.
But it's refreshing.
It's beautifully drinkable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautifully drinkable.
It's
There's
more like a
hint of spearmint or something. I get like a little bit of a
on the
bit,
end.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of hit you in
Oh, wintergreen.
my palate. a little
Here,
bit.
can you guys
Yeah.
smell this?
We wish you could.
That would be great.
Everybody watching right
All
now
right.
hates
So
this.
exactly.
Monday mornings.
No, I mean honestly,
They're
they're at work.
They're
Yeah,
at work watching this and they're like, "This is."
I am
bullshit."
at work.
Yeah.
Well,
I
this
am
is true.
working.
and we are too.
Yeah,
technically,
we are.
So
we're,
it's
we're
not our
off in a
fault.
couple
Are you
seconds.
working or
You
hurry
want to
working,
change
right?
careers and you want
But this the experience that you have is very similar to this podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, Amin he'll be talking and you say something and he's like, "Oh yeah, I can do that," or he's like, "You got to try this," or and the barrels. It's a candy store. You're in a candy store. You're looking at all the different
Literally.
candies. He's got all the stuff. So you got to come down to Old Louisville Whiskey Company. Hours. I don't know. You have specific hours, but you
Yeah.
also, if you can contact Amin on Facebook, you contact him and you let him know that you want to come down either to do a barrel pick with your group or something like that, or you just want to come down and see it.
Yeah, you can book it online. You go to our website, you hit on tour, you pick your date, time, and you can come here. You can see behind us on the floor, there's probably 20 plus barrels, maybe 30 barrels. So if you come with your group, we don't have preset barrels that we're gonna taste. So you tell me what do you prefer, what do you like, and we customize the tasting and tour experience based on your preference. So if you like wheated, we'll focus on wheated and we pull more barrels of wheated. If you like high rye, if you like rye or both, we can try everything we have here in the warehouse, which is 8 different mash bills plus the finishes. So we got plenty of
Yeah, you're
specials.
not like if you do a barrel pick at another place, usually they have 3 or 4 barrels to choose from. If you get a little bit ornery and you don't want it, well, they might get you a 5th barrel. But at the same time, here, Amin's gonna get it's just an endless
You'll
amount
find
that's
something
behind
you
that's
like.
accessible,
You
and
will
he's
make
gonna
sure you find
when
something
when
you like.
what you put in your bottle will be something that you absolutely
That you will
love, and
wanna
you're gonna
drink.
get
Yeah.
that experience here.
And you're gonna learn. You're gonna
Yeah.
learn a lot about the whole business, the industry, the barrels, the distillate. You're gonna learn a lot, and it's not just a story of somebody floated down the river and dropped off barrels, and you found them and started making stuff again. This is a different story than what most of the distilleries tell.
Right.
And-
Well, this is the modern story.
This is entrepreneurship.
In 100
at its
years, they're
finest.
going to be talking about Amin. Maybe there'll be a statue out front.
And this is
Now he started blowing some really thin air in my head here.
and this is what I wanted to say to all the Facebook groups, because you guys know out there that I belong to over 300 whiskey and bourbon Facebook groups, and I shared them probably to about 100 this morning. But I know a lot of you guys and groups out there do barrel picks, and this is I see that most of you go to all the regular normal places. This is one place that's got some great, fantastic
Well,
bourbon and
I
whiskey.
appreciate it.
You're going to get twice the experience that you get at any other distillery for your barrel pick, and twice as good
Well,
bourbon
Yeah,
whiskey
our
that
picks
in my
are
opinion.
typically 9, 10, 11 years and older. So
Yeah,
we don't see you're not gonna pick anything young. So the
Yeah.
picks are 9 years and older
Yeah. And you leave making a friend in you.
for life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean,
do.
you
The
leave
people
with
that come
the
here-
bottle
the people
in
that
this
come here come
velvet,
back.
velvet bag. It's fantastic. I mean, that's how they sell my whiskey. They got a whiskey thief case, and he's got a bottle bag made of the same velour kind of. It just like it's an experience you want to have to get. But I will have to tell you, the first bottle that I ever had, and you labeled it and everything, I can't open it because it's in the bag. It's on the
Oh.
thing. It sits there, and it's number one.
Well, enjoy.
Kentucky.
You open it,
Shit.
Yeah.
and then when he comes back, we'll bottle another.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. So
Oh, I'm
everybody,
not allowed to.
we're gonna end the audio part of the podcast, but just know we're still live on Facebook and YouTube till you want to end it. But at this time, I'm going to end the audio. I'm going to try something different because let's just see.
No.
I don't because I don't have the speaker. Maybe you guys can hear this. Let's just see. Do I have to turn it up? Oh, nope, it's all the way up. That didn't work. So we're not going to do it that way. I'm going to dump it into.
Oh wait, there it goes.
There we go. Remember, www.scotchybourbonboys.com for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and X, and then also all the podcast formats. Remember, good bourbon equals good times and good friends.
And
Drink responsibly, don't drink and drive, and live your life uncut and unfiltered.
Cheers to
Including
that.
the bourbon balls that are available in the winter months.
Uncut and
anywhere
filtered.
in the world, right?
Well, cheers, guys. Was it good?
delicious. As always.
Sure was.
I'm gonna drink it all.
Oh, you guys want to
Alex
try
Peterson
the
said he had
KBS
this
pick
going
now?
on, and he's got his old Louisville shirt on.
Absolutely.
KBS pick.
Absolutely.
All right,
Let's do it.
we stopped recording on the audio, but we're still live on YouTube and Facebook. We'll be here for a couple more
Are
minutes.
you guys joining?
Come on.
There's glasses here.
There's two glasses here.
Two
Go ahead.
glasses right up here.
I got them.
Let me
I meant
quick.
to invite you, but I know you're working.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Walker, come here. I saved you some of the.
Well, we have more. You
155.
can try that. We
You
can.
gotta try that.
Just like the other bottle.
Yeah.
She's out of. Okay.
Just
Oh, yeah.
there's a sweet butter note on this one. Calling
Good.
my name.
Almost like bitter French
That's
toast.
a new one. What's is this the?
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the Bourbon Festival pick?
Is this the pick?
This is a KBF pick. Yes.
Oh, it smells
This is the.
amazing. So what are we gonna
Untitled.
retail this
We
at?
gotta call
Yeah.
this.
So we sell it as 149.
Yeah,
And then
I didn't know
yeah,
that the
same price.
It's gonna be 149.
Oh, that really smells unique.
Did you grab a glass?
You
Right
know,
on
your
top of that.
bourbons have amazing
Okay.
nose. The nose on your bourbons is just something.
Thank you.
They really are.
Well, when you don't
Right
cut it, uncut
Right
and
up on
filter,
Yeah, yeah, it really-
and it's it's
Yeah.
properly
Right
aged,
there on that wood.
you're gonna have the
Yeah, there's one
aroma.
right
You're
on
gonna
the-
have
But
the
not,
mouthfeel.
you know, it's not like
It's right
you know,
on that front board.
makers. You smell it, they all smell the same, right? This
You
Grab
find
these
one?
have
Give him
such
that
unique
glass right up
noses.
there.
He
Oh,
needs
okay.
something to taste. There
What do
he
you want
goes.
to taste? Let's grab a glass.
So Todd is a good friend of mine.
Hi, good friend.
All right.
Hey Todd.
Cheers.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Cheers.
Nice Monday morning.
Good
Yeah.
to meet you.
Well, good breakfast.
Cheers, brother.
Yeah,
Cheers.
absolutely. Like you said earlier,
I have
breakfast
to
whiskey.
decide what that is. I mean,
I
I,
Hey
think
Matt,
it
how
went
are you
well.
doing?
A little bit of
Hopefully,
molasses.
was gonna
making
say
your way
Dark
down
fruit.
yeah,
shortly.
molasses. Yep.
Cheers, Matt.
So I always leave this
And,
stuff running
also cheers
afterwards.
Sarsaparilla,
because
actually.
even because
He's
the
got an
more
old
time, it's like
Louisville
video
t-shirt
gaming
on.
gamers. They're on like for 8 hours playing video games. That's how you get all the people. They like check in, and then
This is
the more
120
time you're
or
on,
112.
the more
112.
people that actually want
Yeah,
to
yeah.
watch you
Yeah.
more and then subscribe.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And long
Yeah,
term, long
unfortunately, we've
videos
already
are
been down
harder
that
than
road.
all the shorts and the reels. Lots of people will watch those, right?
Yeah.
Because they think it's whatever. But
But then they
you're
scroll to
looking
the
for
next
this.
one.
You're looking for the long term people, and
Yeah.
that's what's growing.
No, I agree.
We're
Oh,
trying
gosh,
to get
that's really
we
good.
got 2,000-3,000 that watch at a time on YouTube. We just had our first 10,000 on
Nice, man. Looking
for a long
forward to it,
term
brother.
on Facebook. So that's kind of cool. Who was talking to you on Facebook?
Matt's watching. Alex Peterson is watching and said that he's got his
Old
old Louisville shirt.
on.
He said he didn't know this was going on.
And he's
got
wearing his old
Louisville.
Louisville shirt.
Yeah. We had we were talking about Kevin from Seldom Seen. He was watching and
Cool.
said that he said I think that he's got a barrel or two there, and I said yeah, it's
You did, yeah, they're right there. Yeah, I noticed.
I mean, for God's sakes, that guy is freaking awesome in Kentucky. I mean, he basically,
Oh,
and you
yes.
give him a barrel to put his syrup in,
Yeah.
and then he'll give you his syrup barrel for you to put
He's
your bourbon
actually
in.
been getting a lot of my 10, 11-year barrels last few months to do his maple.
I bought.
I think initially he was New Riff, but then once he started just branching out, so he's got so many different ones.
I bought a gallon from him, the robust maple, and then I've been doing stuff with it to make old fashions. So I've been aging it in a small barrel myself.
Nice.
And I did my second batch, and I'm already out of it.
That's
it
done.
goes so
That's
quick.
good. Yeah, good stuff.
It's like the maple is kind of like I treat it like what you said, like with Madeira, that you have to be very cautious of what's going on. And like so, when I did the maple,
It's gonna take a
it
budget.
only
bump,
stayed
but-
in there for a week.
He'll tell you.
because the barrel had maple syrup in it. I dumped it, and then I
But
put
still
bourbon back
very,
in it. And I wanted to pick up some of the maple flavor, but I did not want it to get crazy.
Overwhelming.
So
yeah.
fantastic
a week
for a
was all
barrel
it
aged.
took, and then it was at its was at the right point.
So, what's the cost point for the
Price
17?
point.
It's $3.99. It's gonna be at the festival.
Okay.
That's what we released our 16-year last year, $3.99. We're gonna release this at $3.99. We're also gonna release 18-year in Christmas time. It's still gonna stay the same
I
price.
can't wait for
Okay.
the Christmas present.
Oh, yeah.
I
You
lost
can
your
buy it
address.
for my birthday. How about you have a
The
big
good thing
birthday?
is I didn't lose
Not
yours.
like this.
I'll be sitting at the door.
Well,
Please,
thank you
sir,
guys for,
I want
for
some
the shirt.
more.
Yeah.
I'll,
You're welcome.
probably wear it today because it's gonna warm up.
Yeah, it's supposed to.
And this morning was chilly, so I needed a long sleeve.
Oh yeah.
Jamie can't resist. Can you try this?
All right. So let's end.
Yeah.
So
Please
end
help
the video.
yourself.
Like
can
I said,
end
thank
that.
you to all the Facebook
Yes,
watchers.
thanks,
that we've
everybody.
had.
Are you ending?
Tuned in,
You're ending.
to us this
Might as
Monday
well.
morning.
Wait. He's saying goodbye.
So we appreciate everybody, and thanks again here at
Wait.
Old Louisville Whiskey Company.
Yep.
We hope you have a great day at work, and if
Yes.
you can live vicariously through us while we're here, we will gladly carry that torch for you.
This is our this is our ideal of a vacation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
They want
I
you to
didn't need
step
that.
on it.
All right, so we ended on Facebook. Now we're going to end on YouTube. Everybody, when you hit end, tell me the total. If it's like 300-400 or it's in the thousands, just hit end live video. You don't see it?
0. Nobody watched today. It's okay. They're at work.
Should I do it?
I mean, it is early.
I just,
Early in the week and early.
No,
in
there
the
was
I just
actually a
guessed
lot of
how
people.
many groups I shared this to. I shared it to 102. You know, I said 100,
Sure.
but I shared it to 102.
And the thing is people
We're-
just
hey.
they'll go see it all day. It'll
Look,
pop
yeah,
up.
yeah.
It'll pop up on their feed.
We already have 1.45